So, as many of you know, 2021 was a crazy housing market here in Jacksonville. Houses were moving really quickly. There wasn't that much inventory on the market, and just when we thought we were having a little bit of a break towards the end of the year, now that 2022 has started back up, it looks like the housing market is just as hot as it always has been. What are you seeing out there, Fergus?
So, so yeah, unfortunately, Connie, you're pretty much dead on. We are seeing very low inventory again. Right now, there's something like 1,900 homes, 1,900 resale homes in the Northeast Florida, Greater Jacksonville area for sale. That doesn't include new construction, that's resale. So 1,900. Typically, the last 5 years prior to COVID, we would hope to see between 7,000 and 8,000 homes for sale at any given time. So our inventory is roughly 25% of what we would expect. So it's still crazy low. We've recently spoken to a couple of people from the Bank of England. We've talked to people from Zillow, people who know a lot more about markets than we do, people who spend a lot of money on market analysis. The Bank of England has said that Zillow said that Jacksonville is the second hottest market in the country. They are predicting a 22% price increase in 2022. We saw a 19% increase in 2021. So Zillow is expecting 2022 to be even hotter than 2021. The Bank of England has said that Jacksonville is the most moved to city within America by people already living in America. And 47% of all sales in 2021 in Northeast Florida, in Greater Jacksonville, 47% of all those sales were sold to people moving to the city from elsewhere in the country. So, supply and demand. We have an awful lot of people moving here looking to buy homes in Jacksonville, and coupled with that, our average sales price is approximately $358,000. That's for a 2,500 square foot home. So, not small, not large, kind of middle ground. $358,000 is our average sales price. That is still way below some of the other hot cities in the country, if you like. I've got a couple of them I noted down here. So Austin, nearly $100,000 more for the same size home. Tampa, $20,000 more back, in our own state here, $20,000 more in Tampa. Charlotte, North Carolina is $30,000 more, and that's without even going to some of the crazy cities, LA, New York. They're on a different scale. So yes, it's a hot market. Yes, there are difficulties, but we are still, generally speaking, cheaper here in Jacksonville, more affordable, right? Better value than a lot of the country, which kind of moves us on to our next point about why you should buy or sell now. So I'll get your thoughts on why somebody should sell now, and then I'll chip in with the buy now.
Yep. Well, I think it's easy as far as should you sell now. I mean, if you've owned your house since the past 5 years, 10 years since the crash around 2008, most people bought their homes within that time period until now. So you have a lot of equity. I mean, if you bought 6 months ago, you have equity. So if you have been holding on to property for a while, if you need the money for something else, if you're relocating, if you're downsizing, if you're upsizing, I mean, you can easily sell now very quickly for a good price. And take advantage of all that equity. Now, as we were just talking about, we expect prices to continue to increase, so you can also hold on to that property. But if you need the money, if you're looking to get out of certain properties or downsize or move away, it's a great time to sell.
Right, and the buy side feeds into that as well. It seems like a seller's market, and it is, but prices are only going to rise. We're seeing, predicted from Zillow, another 20% increase year, so you don't want to hold on. Interest rates are still around 3%. We know they are scheduled to go up twice this year. We're expecting by the end of 2022, interest rates will be at 4%, not 3%, or closer to 4%. We can go into the numbers a little bit more deeply, but if interest rates go up 1%, that reduces your buying power by around $40,000. So it's like having a $40,000 increase in value just because interest rates have gone up. So interest rates for the buyer is what's king. So buying today, low interest rates, that's key. Rates, the value of homes are going up. So again, don't delay. Rents have gone up. Was it 33%? While sales have gone up 19%. So if you're a tenant, your costs are going up faster than the cost of buying. And then the last thing, which again is slightly more detailed and perhaps doesn't apply to everybody, but as of April, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are adding an additional charge to anybody buying a second home or investment property. That's nationwide. There'll be an additional 3% charged at closing on the purchase price of the home. So if you are in the fortunate enough position to be buying a second home, to be buying an investment property, you seriously want to get on with that now before that kicks in and before interest rates rise. So really, the market's tough, but as we see it, there's no reason to think it's going to get easier. If anything, it's probably going to get tougher. So either as a buyer or a seller,
But the good news is, like we just talked about, if you're buying a home now, it's a great time to buy because you can take advantage of the increase in prices, and then you'll get equity and things like that. And if you're looking to sell, it's a good time to sell too. It's not that often you can say both the buyer and seller can take advantage of the market.
Absolutely, and they both feed into each other, because while the buyer has a lower interest rate, they have a greater buying power, which in turn allows them to spend more, which helps the seller. So, low interest rates are good for the seller also. And, truisms, like play with what you know. Like, what you have this month, what we have next month. Let's say you want to delay for 6 months or a year thinking that you might get a little bit better. Well, if the market gets tougher or interest rates go up, that could negatively affect you as a buyer or a seller. So if you are planning to sell, my advice, I know we're biased like real estate agents, this is our job, but what you have today. A bird in the hand versus what might be, last thing, Connie, everybody always asks, will the market crash? I want to wait a year until the market cools off. I know this is speculation. Let's just, highlight that, we take a lot of information from a lot of people, but at the end of the day, this is still crystal ball speculation stuff. But, what are your thoughts on it?
So personally, and you and I, we discuss this all the time. Our team discusses this all the time. We sit in meetings all the time. We do not see a crash coming anytime soon. Due to the fact that there's low inventory, due to the fact that everybody has equity in their home, so even if they're unfortunately can't make their payments or something like that, we're not going to see the foreclosures and all that like we saw during the last crash. Jacksonville in general, being a growing city and businesses coming here and investors coming here and residents moving here, there's no reason to think that, especially in the greater Jacksonville area, that we're going to see any slowdown over who knows how long, years and years and years, in my opinion.
Right. So, right. And I can only agree with that. Could something nationwide happen that affects everybody? Something completely left field and we have a crash? Sure. We can't predict the future. But two things: inventory, low inventory, supply and demand. That is that's economics 101, right? We've got more people who want to buy than people who want to sell. So no matter what your commodity is, if you've got more buyers than sellers, prices are going to stay high. There's no indication that will change unless inventory changes massively, and
that shouldn't happen.
Well, I just don't see where it's coming from.
Yeah.
They can't magically just pull another 7,000 houses out of nowhere.
Builders are still behind. Lumber prices are expected to raise again as we go into the spring and the summer. So it's
It's just tough. So supply and demand, and then the other part that kind of ties back to 2008. We just don't have the subprime market conditions that we had in 2008 that triggered the crash.
Right.
So, I'm not going to go into the weeds on that, but the kind of the root cause of 2008 is simply not there. So as we see it, we just have no reason to believe that there will be a crash anytime. I mean, Bank of England, what was his stat for Florida? Florida's market is growing at the same rate as the California market was growing in the 1980s.
Yep.
I mean,
When everyone thought that the prices were getting out of control and how can they keep getting higher and things like that, but lo and behold, over the next 40 years, I mean, prices have just increased out there.
gone
it's
and
where
gone
everyone
and
wants
gone.
to be,
Right.
so.
Everybody says that they reached their limit, and then as long as there's more people want to buy than want to sell, prices go up. That's just.
That's how we see it, and that's how we work with all of our customers, our customers who are selling properties, our customers who are buying properties. Everyone's happy right now when they're able to get a home for a good price. They know they're going to have equity over time. All of our sellers are happy, obviously, because they've taken advantage of the equity that they've gained in their home. So it's a great market. It's a great place to live here in Jacksonville, and we expect it to continue for a long time.
Yeah, and if I had one last thing to leave people with, if you're local, especially if you're a first-time buyer trying to get into your first home, please just don't delay. Buy now while you physically can afford something, because if you wait 6 months or a year and your budget is $150,000, $200,000, life is just going to get tougher trying to find those homes. So if you're trying to get into your first time home,
do it now.
Yeah,
do it now.
honestly, just try now while you've still got at least the power of a low interest rate. It's generally pretty positive.
Yep. So thanks for everyone for listening. If you have any questions, please reach out to us here at the Welch team, where we'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, many thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.